That motherfucker was wet.
And it's
Tell me your name and I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
Talking about.
What's that noise?
Oops. I farted. I didn't think you would hear me.
Why I forget that was in there.
Tell me your name and I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
What the fuck?
What's that noise?
Oops. I farted. I didn't think you would hear me.
That motherfucker was wet.
And it's one of the funniest parody films ever made.
Shit.
It's also one of the last true parody films to be made.
The greatest
After
parody
massive
film.
success of the first film, the sequels and the spiritual success.
The second one is the funniest shit ever.
To decrease in quality at an exponential rate, leaving the general public unenthusiastic about nearly.
It wasn't even the quality of them decrease. It was just so much. Like, it just made funny not funny for a while. Like, there was no gimmick, no gag, no spoof, no nothing that you could do. It was just like, it was like TikTok starting all over again. But all the creators, like, that already had their following, have to try to get their same following again. So you're going to see repost after repost after repost. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a whole bunch of shit. Yeah, they left after 2 for sure. Because they rushed them. They didn't even want to do it 2. And they rushed them into 2. So that's why, like, 2 was gold to me. But they didn't like 2. Like, the Waynes themselves didn't like 2. And then they really didn't like the fact that they got rushed into it. So they left after 2.
Anything that came close to resembling a parody. When a film strikes gold at the box office, everyone wants to cash in, and eventually the well runs dry. This leaves certain niche genres of movies feeling like, well, a ghost town.
Hey, you guys hear that?
Before we delve into Scary Movie, now is the perfect time to subscribe to Nerdstalgic if you haven't done so already. Parody films have existed throughout the entirety of cinematic history. You can trace the lineage of these types of movies all the way back to the 1900s, the first of which being 1905's The Little Train Robbery, meant to be a parody of the Great Train Robbery. For as long as people have been making movies, there have been people seeking to create comedy from the ideas presented within them. As time went on, the art
Said if you can make a good movie, I can make fun of that good movie.
became more and more refined. Parody burst fully into the mainstream of entertainment in the 1940s, when Abbott and Costello began releasing their own series of films. They were the first ones who were able to define and effectively distill a formula for creating these types of movies in a way that would appeal directly to the mainstream consumer. In the 1970s, we were introduced to Mel Brooks.
Hey, them motherfuckers get so much credit and acclaim for comedy. Like, them niggas really put a spin on the world. It's still comics to this day that talk about Abbott and Costello. So, like, it's just crazy. The impact that them niggas had. Same thing with, like, a Michael Jackson. It's always crazy to see impact like that.
Who was able to take what Abbott and Costello were doing to entirely new heights with incredibly high production value. After Brooks came the Zucker brothers with inspired films like Airplane and The Naked Gun,
Okay, wish I could go see that Mario tonight. I just seen somebody else say it was good.
Cuban?
It's like the third time.
No, Dutch Irish. My father was from Wales.
Scary Movie was released in 2000. At that time, slasher films were gaining a ton of traction thanks to the success of Wes Craven's Scream and New Nightmare, both of which are meta-commentaries on the slasher genre. Scream specifically shined a glaring light on the flaws that were present in the slasher genre.
Never, ever say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back. I'm getting another
'Cause you'll
beer.
never
You
be
want
back.
one? Yeah, sure. I'll be
Be right back.
Which inevitably paved the way for the Wayans family to capitalize on
Through the
something that
granny
was
Eddie.
ripe for parody.
You had a killer at your old high school, Shorty?
Nah, it was in this movie Scream. Same dialogue and everything.
Same dialogue and
Scary
everything.
Movie's success begins in the director's chair.
Yeah, you right.
Keenan
That's
Ivory
it up.
Wayans had already had some success as a parody filmmaker. His films I'm Gonna Get You Sucker and Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood are iconic entries into the genre.
They just
Marlon and
do.
Shawn Wayans were
They do more movie for movie shit. Like something that you can literally one for one side by side and then be like, oh shit, this is the funny parts about this. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like those shows that you're talking about is more so taking a concept and being like, let's spin it on his head. But yeah, you're right. No, that is technically
Were already
fair.
seasoned veterans when it came to writing comedy, and had both found moderate success on In Living Color and their own television show, The Wayans Brothers.
Watching television shows doesn't create psycho killers.
Yeah, oh god, that's crazy. So it's a parody of a parody.
On the casting end, Scary Movie introduced us to a previously unknown Anna Faris and Regina Hall, who are both pitch perfect, as well as veterans like John Abrams and Shannon Elizabeth. The cast is able to capture the absurdity necessary to create effective parody, and they filter it through a faux seriousness that serves as a perfect vehicle to drive the narrative of the film. So with Scary Movie, you find yourself observing what happens when the right director, writers, and cast come together to create a project that they are passionate about.
Why are you doing this, Bobby?
At least you want some motive. Does Scream have a plot? Don't think so.
Scary Movie's humor might come off as crass, but at its core lies something
That was a
incredibly
super French
smart,
kiss.
poignant, and funny. This translated very well at the box office. To date, Scary Movie has made over $250 million against its modest $19 million budget. And when a film generates those kinds of numbers,
That's
studios
crazy.
begin to get extremely excited. A sequel to Scary Movie entered production almost immediately after the first film's release, utilizing a majority of the same creative team behind the original. And while it is still very funny, it definitely feels like it was written, shot, and filmed in less than 1 year. Some of the jokes are somewhat of a retread of its predecessor.
See, I feel like that's a reach, man. I never, when I was little, like before they started actually telling the story behind that shit, I never felt like it was a rushed movie. It felt exactly like the first one. It felt funnier than the first one. Like it's more iconic moments than the first one. To me, the first one just actually felt like a movie. Like you can, even though you know it's a parody and shit like that, you can literally watch that shit as an actual movie. Like a critic can break that shit down, type shit. It has a beginning, middle, and end. It has a storyline, plot behind it, all of that shit. Like the second one don't really got that. It do, but it don't. It's more loose. But I never was sitting there and being like, oh, this one feels rushed. You know what I'm saying? It still had that same swagger to it, so.
And sometimes the film feels almost out of step with its own lane, but it still delivers some quality laughs despite its glaring flaws. After Scary Movie 2 came Scary Movie 3, which, strangely enough, was written by Craig Mazin, who would go on to help projects like Chernobyl and The Last of Us. The point here is that the entire creative team was swapped out, and that magic that was so effortlessly captured in the first film began to dilute itself quite quickly as the franchise branched out. Scary Movie became sort of a catch-all parody for the horror genre and relied heavily on cramming as many gags as possible into every second of the movie, rather than telling a cohesive story that inspired jokes from the respective genre. Scary Movie 3 was still quite successful, and if there's one thing Hollywood loves, it's a shameless cash grab by way of dogpiling onto something successful. If you think about a film like Transformers, when a film like that is successful, you see studios begin to scramble to capitalize on the genre, which is why we had lesser films like G.I. Joe, 2017's Power Rangers, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles really.
See, that's another one that got killed. Like, I feel like the Power Rangers movie was cool. I think you just needed to give them 1 or 2 more movies. Then we could have seen what they actually was about. Same thing with the Turtles, but the second Turtles was kind of ass though. They could have came with a little bit better. Oh yeah.
Released shortly thereafter. While the film that serves as the tip of the spear can typically be considered to be enjoyable,
Number 3
the
was
films
ass.
that follow tend to get worse and worse until people get tired, and then
The only reason that number 3, Scary Movie 3 did good was because Scary Movie 3 was promoted as the same makers from 1 and 2. So everybody thought it was the Wayans brothers. Then you go watch it and it's no Wayans brothers. So it still did good at the box office. Michael Vick. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It don't really, the Turtles didn't really hit like that. It was good, but It's like that first one had a little something, and I was like, okay, I can see it. They're trying to go for realism, this, that, and the third, but it just didn't have that Turtles feel. Like, I didn't feel like they was eating pizzas, and it just didn't have that swagger, is what I'm trying to say.
Move on. This is exactly what happened with the Scary Movie franchise. Its massive success served as the box office earthquake that caused a proverbial tidal wave of copycat parodies that were released with reckless abandon.
Of course, he wants us to cut through our feet. You go first.
After Scary Movie, we had Date Movie, Epic Movie, Superhero Movie, Disaster Movie, Extreme Movie, Meet the Spartans, Vampires Suck, and The Starving Games, among others. All of these films were peppered in between the
That was the only one that was good. That was cool.
Disappointing installments of
Was the
Scary
one
Movie
about
franchise.
300.
These films were produced as
I think it
quickly
was
as
like Epic
possible
Movie or
with
something.
relatively low budgets, and it really shows.
Shit was funny,
The jokes
but-
are flat, the characters don't make any sense, the performances are forgettable. They forego any sort of analysis and commentary one might make about film genres and just repeatedly go after low-hanging fruit again and again.
This is Sparta!
That was the only one I could watch. Because that shit was funny.
These films just copy scenes from the films they're parodying and insert fart takes.
Caught you with your mouth open.
Even the farting scene in Blazing Saddles was, at very least, grounded in the sense that its commentary on the dietary restrictions cowboys had on the frontier. It was still saying something. These films aren't really saying.
Hey, yo. Nah, that was funny. A whole bunch of cowboys sitting around a fire. All they got is beans and bread to eat. And them niggas start cutting up. That shit needs a watch. Oh, shit. I say Shrek had good use of farts on certain occasions. That shit was definitely fart joke heavy, though. But I might be biased because I don't really like the nigga from Cat in Hat. So, and that's the nigga that voices Shrek. And all his shit just, I don't know. It just, not for me. Mike Myers. There we go.
Anything at all and play out like some sort of strange hyperactive.
Oh God, I
fever
gotta
dream.
watch Blazing
Even
Saddles.
stranger
That
than
shit
that is the
sounds
fact
funny.
that these films were mostly made by the same two guys, Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer. For a while, these films managed to make money, nearly doubling their budgets every time. Apparently, there was some type of market for lackluster parody films, and people would still show up to see them.
Oh yeah, I got two cousins that love these movies. I mean, fucking love these movies. It was just the type of comedy for them niggas. They didn't give a fuck. They was watching these shits relentlessly. My little cousin, boy, that nigga used to buy these motherfuckers. Like, I remember he had the cases, Date Movie, Epic Movie, Superhero Movie. I'm like, this nigga's fried, bro. I can't watch it.
Audiences eventually stopped paying attention to these types of films. Profit margins began slimming dramatically right around 2008 with the release of Superhero Movie. Every now and then, a new parody film will emerge, but it would appear that the public trust in Hollywood's ability to produce a quality parody film had effectively been broken.
That'll make me howl, honey boo boo child.
Like I
The
said,
success of Scary Movie and Scary Movie 2
I just think it was too much at too much
Nothing has
time.
even come close. Even films like Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping, or MacGruber, which are obviously great, flew under the box office radar. The age-old saying rings true here that a few bad apples really do spoil the bunch. Quality comedy isn't something that you can mass produce. It has to come from a place of inspired reverence for whatever it is you're making jokes about. When the rigid machinations of money-hungry studios start to take over, the jokes don't feel
nah. Saints Row 1 and 2 had its own swagger. Like, of course, anything that is in realism and has you running around with guns is going to feel like GTA, but GTA isn't even what GTA started out to be. So, like, GTA is literally supposed to be a game about stealing cars. So, I don't think the game about gang culture. Like, if you're saying it's a San Andreas copycat, I can say, all right, yeah, you might be right. But like, that was never what GTA was supposed to be. So that's why whenever somebody says that, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like that's the reason people saying stuff like that is the reason that we get Saints Row games how they are now, where they don't feel like they can actually fly the flags and, you know what I'm saying, be about the gang culture like the game started off. They want to try to be wonky and superheroes and have superpowers and shit. because they scared to be like GTA. But GTA is not even like GTA. GTA is actually more so like 25 to Life. I think that's where they took a lot of their shit from. Games like that, you know what I'm saying? Games that had guns in it and running around and had a 3D over the shoulder look to them. It was like, oh yeah, okay, we see people like those.
Funny
yeah,
or
and you
inspired
created
at
your
all.
own
They end
character.
up feeling forced. Comedy needs to feel natural and surprising for us to really connect with it. And when we observe content that feels like someone forcing a million jokes into a loosely streamed together plot, it feels more depressing than anything else. When audiences are continuously let down time and time again, they simply move on.
You don't want it.
I think I kind of want it.
Okay, but just this once. Come on in.
I think I kind of want it.
We're ripe for a good parody film, and hopefully Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 2 will find enough success to greenlight
Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money.
That's it for this one, folks. Be sure to let us know what you think in the
Yeah,
comments
I don't
section
know
below.
about that
Too,
one,
we'll
bud,
find-
but I definitely
I
I fucked with this shit. The Ballad of Dewey Cox is funny as fuck.
kind of want it.
Okay, but just this once. Come on in.
We're ripe for a good parody film, and hopefully Mel Brooks' History
I
of the
don't
World
think
Part
so.
2 will find
I
enough
ain't see
success
King
to
bashing
greenlight.
nowhere.
Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money.
That's it for this one, folks. Be sure to let us know what you think
Yeah,
in
at
the
least not
comment
that I
section
can-
below.
at
You
least
might
I
see
don't
some
think.
links to our other videos floating in the player window up there. Feel free to click on any of those.
It was a good little video though. I fuck with you on that one, boy. I fuck with you on that one, boy. That one Wakanda.
This is a certified hood classic.
You know,